All right. So, welcome back. Good evening. Welcome to In the Mix, brought to you by Jamsteady and Topcat CCU. This is our seventh edition, and we do this every Sunday around this time, around 5 o'clock in the evening. We talk about music, we talk about art, technology, collaboration, the business of music and art, and a lot of things around the world of music. We feature musicians, artists, sound engineers, producers, managers, and other players from the world of music. And it's the idea is to have fun, discuss things around music, connect with the community, and see what's happening, what's new, what's happened in the past, what are the new trending things. So just get deep into the world of music. Today's edition again is really special because we are speaking to uh, I would say like two pioneers of the music industry. They've been around for so many years in the city of Kolkata and have expanded from there. We're talking about two institutions, J Reynold and Company, which is also known as Reynolds popularly, and Braganza and Company, which is called Braganzas very popularly. So I will be bringing Peter and Tony from Reynolds and Braganzas onto the screen, and we'll have a discussion about their journey, their origins, how they evolved during time, through the times, and all the other interesting things. And if you have questions, please keep them ready. We'll definitely try and take them during the show. So, without further ado, let me bring both our guests onto screen and then jump straight into it. Go. Hi, Tony. Hi, Peter.
Hi, everybody.
Hello. It's so nice to see you all. So, how are things happening? What is going on? How has it been for both of you? How's the Sunday been?
It's been a month of Sundays that we are going through, if not of several months of Sundays.
I agree.
Somehow or the other, what is very sad about this whole pandemic which has taken place is that we have to keep people away from this thing. I'm talking about our workers and all that. So because we can't keep them in more than groups of four and all. And we have a manufacturing setup where we are actually making guitars and violins and drum sets over here. So those workshops I had kick-started it out, but again we had to send them back. And now with this lockdown going on, we are trying to hope for the best that by 1st August we can start.
Start again.
With a short,
Right.
shortened hours, and we are making do with whatever inventory we had already built up. And
Right. Right.
able to-
Right.
we have also
So
gone online. We have
right.
also gone online, but
Yeah, I saw that.
we can reach products to people. Of course, this is very nascent because it's only a month old, and it'll
Okay.
take a little time for people to hear and understand, and
Yeah.
that.
Today we'll tell people about this. So, yeah, and I want to start actually from the beginning, I think, because that is really exciting. Uh, so, let me start with Peter first. Peter, if you can tell us about how J. Reynolds and Company started, and just tell us all the things that went into setting up of, from whichever generation it started. Just give us a little. Yeah.
Reynolds in Calcutta was started in 1908, which is about 115 years ago, by my grandfather, who came from Goa. Like a lot of our grandparents did come from Goa to Calcutta because Calcutta was the financial capital of India. So they came for better prospects. And at that time, the business revolved around pianos, violins, and later on it moved into some imported products like piano accordions and stuff like that. But we actually started the manufacturing of guitars in the early 50s when my uncle, my dad's brother, went to Germany and did an apprenticeship with Karl Hofner, who were kind of the pioneers of the steel string guitar at the time, and with Matt Horner, which is, as we know them, M. Horner today. In those years, they went to piano accordions. Today, they're more into harmonicas. But anyway, he did an apprenticeship in these companies, came to India, and we started the manufacturing process then. So most of the other guitar manufacturers, big brands like Hobner and Giptone at the time, their owners were carpenters in our business, in our factory, and they learned the trade from there. And they've gone on to do pretty well. And today, Calcutta is still the hub of guitar making for India. I think
Right.
90% of the guitars being made in India are going from Calcutta.
Oh, wow.
That was in the 50s and 60s, and then the government of India would not allow us to import. So we always had to make do with local instruments. Later on in the, I think in the 80s, I joined the business in the early 80s, I think 82, 83, because our father had passed away in 1979 and we were still young. Then my eldest brother left for Bangalore and started his setup over there. And he's grown substantially to own 4 retail stores. And uh, we've been doing a lot of businesses since then related to the music business. I stuck on in Calcutta and managed to survive the onslaught of the CPM and the C2 union in the factory. And my middle brother, who was also here with me, he left for Goa in 1989 because he couldn't handle the factory. I mean, the stress of running a manufacturing unit was crazy during those years.
Hmm.
He also left Calcutta and he's very successful in Goa doing events, both corporate and weddings.
Okay.
And, so he's really doing well there. And I've been with the music business, but what we've done is we've expanded into installations of sound, lights, audio visuals for uh, places of worship, for auditoriums and things like that. We do a lot of work in the northeast of India, and we also have a rental business for sound, lights, and audiovisuals, working with the hotel industry mainly, and life science. We've got an event management team too, so we've worked with a lot of big artists from other parts of India when they come to the east. We also brought groups from abroad, like I brought Smokey from the
Hmm.
UK to Shillong, and like that, we've done a lot of acts in the Northeast. So that's been keeping me pretty busy. Musical
Right.
instruments still continues. The trend has shifted a lot to the imported product. So I'd say out of most of our stores today, 80% is imported products. So whether it's Yamaha, Casio, Roland, Fender, you name all the big brands have come to India. There was a time when we were amongst the first importers of Fender and Roland into India, and even Yamaha. We had a bonded warehouse where we would import containers from Yamaha, Japan. But all that has changed today. Today, the East is unfortunately the smallest part of the business in India.
Hmm.
Uh, I guess the amount of money flowing into this side of the country is much less. The musicians are more. The
Yeah.
quality of musicians are fantastic. And as we know, some of the best musicians around India have gone from Calcutta or from this part of the country and really done well in Bombay and in the film industry, etc. But they've all flown from here because they don't earn enough money over here. And I know for a fact that even for the gigs and the way artists charge, even the people who work for us, the kind of money they get paid working for us is much less than what they would get if they worked in Bangalore or
Yeah.
Bombay or other. India in India today, Kolkata ranks 16th, I think, in the commercial lineage. So we've
Hmm.
really backwards down the ladder in terms of finances, and
Yeah.
so everything has suffered because of that.
Right.
We're still there. We're still holding fort, and we'll still be there.
Hmm.
It's
Yes, please.
we haven't grown the way Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore, etc. have.
Right, right, right. Okay, cool. So we'll talk about the other struggles and future plans. I'll go to Tony now to know how Braganza started and what has been your journey. Tony, please.
See, my dad and uncle in Goa at that in the 1930s, and there was no work for them over there except agriculture. And church music was very big over there. So somehow or the other, all these people in Goa, they were trained in the churches to pick up instruments, and they became too good at it. The rest of them, they used to work on the ships and go all over the world giving Goan cuisine to the world, which was absolutely fantastic, and it also gave them some kind of work. My uncle actually, he went off to Burma because of the communist regime over there. All the Goans over there, they were all into music, basically classical music over there. They were all thrown out of there. Many of them came to Calcutta. Some of them went to Chennai. And the rest were trying to go back home and landed up in Bombay. So my uncle had a shop over here, Menezes and Sear, which was very close to the old Reynolds on Free School Street. So he brought my uncle from to his shop to help out. He was kind of an uncle, and my uncle in turn was, working at cross purposes with his cousin. They were both in the business. And he was a person called Baby Menezes who was a fantastic pianist. So my uncle decided that he should leave that thing and started Braganza and Company called Garage, which he turned around into a shop, the same shop, 2A Marco Street, which was actually a garage over there, and he turned it around into a shop. And what he used to do was he used to work from 8 to 8 in the night, and in the night he used to play in the band. He was a drummer. He in turn brought my dad down from Goa to Calcutta, and he was a saxophone player and a clarinet player. So he joined the business and the band, actually, more the band than the business, from Goa, and they were really big time music in big band.
Right.
My uncle was in a place called Central Hotel, which is now Amber's. My father used to be working in Grand Hotel. So they started over there, and to start with, they had nothing. Everything with my grand uncle. And so they started by getting a few pianos and refurbishing them, giving them out on hire. Then they started, then there was a lot of this thing in the World War II, when the Americans and the British were leaving. The Americans had a lot of stuff there. And in that there was a godown, if I may call it that, on Taratala Road, which was full of instruments. And my dad and uncle got around with these people to give them the instruments, buy the instruments, and they bought off all these instruments, and like saxophone, trumpets, clarinets, trombones, a few violins, all that. And then they started from there. They would basically hire the stuff rather than sell. Selling was not their big business. And then my dad was very good at it. So he used to get down these catalogs because they used to report stuff. So when he would get down these catalogs and then copycat making instruments. So he created the drum set, the tumba, all that he handmade himself. And then his people who were Papi, the drum set people, sing and all, they would all come to learn to manufacture all this, and make. And he was very open and this thing, and he would tell them all the things of how to do all this thing. Now, this went on, and then finally we came to our generation where they were getting old. So we had, at least both my brother was working in RBI and I was working in a company called, so where I had 12 engineers under me, and brother was also having a whole lot of stuff with the working in the government. I landed up coming to the shop because my father and uncle were getting old, and we took over the shop. And then from there we took it rather well, and we started going in for electric guitars, manufacturing electric guitars, acoustic. And of course, we were always the best in repairs of pianos and both tuning, is refurbishing them. And then when the pianos started being imported, like Peter would import the Pearl River piano, and Furtados were very big in bringing all the brands. So Furtados found us a good country cousin. So they kept us as a front for them. And they didn't open any store in Calcutta, and they allowed us to be their front. And
Right.
that's how it all started.
Very interesting. I mean, obviously, the early days must be a lot of struggle. I am imagining
Yeah,
because it was different.
a struggle. Today we sit back, laugh, and have a drink on it, and
Yeah,
say those were the good days.
different times.
We were in the good days. It was a tough beat.
Yeah,
But it
absolutely.
could get a lot better, it could get a lot better. I think
Yeah,
things we face in the industry in India, one is the GST. The government puts 18% GST on musical instruments, which I think is absolutely ridiculous because it's an educational product. So that definitely brings up the cost of products for the end customer. We are not going to bear it from our pocket. So
Yeah,
it becomes expensive. The
yeah,
second thing is the educational curriculum in India does not encourage children in school to learn music. It used to be there when we were young kids, but it's no longer there. It's taken such a backseat, and it's very unfortunate because if you look at countries around the world, if you see even China, they have, I can't tell you how many children who learn music from the age of 2, 3, 4 years of age,
yeah.
but it's not encouraged in this country, and that is going to be very detrimental to the upbringing of children in India.
I
It's going to
agree.
make a big difference. Tony,
I,
don't you agree with me?
yeah, to some extent. But what I mean, I figured that the taxes is something which we just have to be, I mean, which we have to pay. And in competition, we land up competing against people who are, not the same, what we call the gray market. And so they have a huge advantage over us on this thing. But in terms of learning, it's unfortunate that the schools were not earlier, they were not, well, just a few schools who were encouraging music, and they had orchestras, and they had all this. In fact, the place where Peter studied, they had fabulous musicians coming out of there, and they had a fabulous teacher also over there in Catholics. The same way over here, Lamartiniers, St. Xavier's,
yeah,
all of them, they had really good infrastructure. All this vanished. And then over the last 10 years, they have something called, I never get the name right, SUWP, that is the extra work which you have to do.
yeah.
And and a lot of schools in Calcutta, I solidly used to encourage them because we are all, I am also, because I handle the ABRSM exam board.
Mhm.
So I used to encourage them, and a lot of them started these things which on Saturday they would have a class. It wasn't the ideal way of doing it, but at least it was something.
Yeah,
So they had a lot of classes happening on Saturday, which they would substitute for that subject which they had to do. They could do anything,
yeah,
go out to the thing and go into an old age home, help out and all that. But music was something which they also started.
yeah.
And that got a lot of musicians over here. Unfortunately, after lockdown, people are not willing to, keep these people on because they have to pay and their income dropped. The schools' incomes dropped a lot. They had to cut back their fees, all the rest of it. They start all this everything, retrain many of the teachers into getting all this stuff done. So they
Yeah,
literally knocked music out of their curriculum, which
yeah. It's very
hopefully after
unfortunate.
and kickstart.
Yeah, yeah. Adding to your point about lockdown, like how it affected most of the artists, and people in our industry. But like a lot of people were discussing during the lockdown, the thing that kept people sane was all the entertainment that was they were watching on TV, on Netflix, on YouTube, and obviously it's all coming from a space of creativity from artists. So on one hand you need that to keep your mental stability during the toughest of times. On the other hand, you don't give it so much importance where people are suffering so much, artists are struggling so much. And I think the last 10-15 years, especially like you were saying, that things have changed in school because there was this whole drive for become an engineer, become a computer engineer, which is fine, obviously, right. But I think music and arts have always enhanced whatever you do. You don't have to be a musician finally, but if you do learn some sort of music, art, dance, any form of that, it always brings out creativity which you can use for your other work. So I think I agree with both of you in this point that uh, that should be encouraged more. In fact, I now a lot of schools, in fact, my friends who are bringing up the kids, they are looking at alternative ways of schools as well, where they don't want the kids to go in a school where they'll be made into robots that learn this da 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 da. They want them to express and be able to see, okay, this child maybe is interested in the arts, so let's push him or her into that. How can we shape this child is interested in sports. So but I think that we are somewhat coming to that, and I hope it gets better in time. But I totally agree with you in terms of how in the last 15 years from the school side it wasn't very encouraging. It was always about study, 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 and forget about everything else. So
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. So tell me, how have how has how I mean, obviously from there to now we have touched on some points, but I just want to focus on how have you seen the change in terms of the music scene, in terms of the buying pattern or music pattern. Like I would say, I from my side, if I have to say, I feel guitar used to be the hero at some point. Every young boy or girl wanted to play the guitar, but I see a slightly changing pattern in that. So because you would really have that data, both of you, what do you have to say?
Well, I think the availability of instruments has gone through the roof. So today, whether it's guitars, whether it's drum sets, anything you can think of, any brand is probably already available in India or
Yeah,
can be available for customers. Um, where we used to keep, say, we used to keep a Fender guitar in stock. Today, a customer will ask for a particular model, a particular color. So with the result, our inventories have gone up tremendously. I remember maybe 10 years ago, if I had 10 lakhs stock in my shop, it was a lot of product on sale. Today, even a crore and a half is nothing. There's
right.
still so much to invest in, so many new products. Customers have become so demanding because of the TV and access to musicians from around the world. The range has gone through the roof.
So you mean to say is it good in a sense that that pattern is
It's good for the
positive?
it's good for the customer.
Hmm.
For us, we have to keep abreast and invest more and more, and that's how it is.
Right. Tony,
See,
what do you think about?
in my thinking, in India, we have lot of people who are on the middle class level or below. And fortunately or unfortunately, these are the people who are really talented. They have a lot of art in them. They are the who really dedicate themselves, because, if you find a person with a lot of money in his pocket coming to buy a guitar, he buys anything. The world's at his feet, and we take advantage of that because we are now having availability of everything. Whether you're talking about a Gibson guitar costing 2.5 lakhs, 3 lakhs, I used to wonder if ever I'd be able to sell something like that. Or buying a piano which is costing 10 lakhs, or buying a piano which is costing 3 lakhs. But today I find that if we are able to also keep a balance between keeping that high level thing going and providing instruments for these people who cannot afford, and you won't believe it, the people who cannot afford will stretch and save that money to buy a guitar which is costing only 5,000 rupees. Okay? And they will not take charity from you of saying, you tell them, okay, I'll give it to you for, 45% less, and just take it and go. I'll give it to you free. You tend to start, being very overlying with them, but that's want. So if we are able to also provide these for them, but good instruments, which is a trick of balance. Instead of taking packing crate wood and making guitars or violins, you make very good violins by using low-cost material and very good material. And at the same time, you have the high-end. Once that you can give it to him. I think that's very important to keep that balance. And we have institutions over here like the Oxford Mission, where they have given the best musicians to over India, and in the Navy band, most of the students are now playing in the Navy, trumpet, clarinet, and whatever instruments they use in the Navy. They have really good high-class musicians over there. So in the Northeast also, there were a lot of schools. There was a father there who brought up these children, and literally from the street he them up and put really good instruments into their hands. He didn't gift it to them initially till they learned how to play it and all the rest of it. And at the end of the day, they were able to earn the thing, and then they become very good musicians. So it's important that we figure out a balance from our shop and think of how we get to that layer of people also. Besides,
right.
The flash and the thing of, you are American, so it's coming. And that chap just looks at it, someday.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. And especially now with electronic instruments coming in, like your so many of these Ableton push kind of things and all, which are not your traditional guitars. It's endless. I mean, you can just keep buying these and keep adding to your if you have the money. But I actually agree. If we as both of you run this business, if you have a range of products which can cater to, and like you were saying, India is a price sensitive market, especially Calcutta is definitely a price sensitive market. So if more people can afford it, definitely there are a lot of people who are doing this, these kind of things where they are working with children from different backgrounds and providing them with education in terms of music and other thing, and people are donating instruments, and so which is I think which is a great thing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
They have
I
these NGOs,
yeah.
They have these NGOs, and they somehow get the money together, and they come and buy good instruments, but not
Yeah.
expensive, good instruments, and
Yeah.
put them into the hands of these children. and they really work wonders.
Yeah. In fact, one more point I had, I mean, this was not exactly in this thing, but it just came to my head that, I feel a lot of the schools which teach music are always focused on teaching how to, say, play an instrument, whether it's piano, guitar, or someone learning how to sing. But I feel an artist who wants to take it up as a career, they should also teach them how to manage their work. That should be part of the curriculum. How to manage finance, how to book a gig, how to write how to make your profile. Because end of the day, everyone need, lot of them actually struggle with that. They may be excellent musicians, but they don't know how to reach, how to maybe even get their music out there. What are the legalities in terms of music? What is an IPRS? What if I release music? What rights do I have? So I feel music schools, if they are listening, I think that'll be a great thing to add to their thing. That focus obviously on the craft, but on the side have very strong learning on these subjects as well. It will help to grow the scene, because if they earn more money, they'll do well. It's a cycle, right? I mean, everything becomes more. Uh,
Yeah, I think
yeah,
that's a very good idea. Something I haven't thought of, but some of the great musicians we've had, take Carlton Keto,
yeah,
and as good as the best jazz guitarists from around the world.
absolutely.
Poor chap couldn't do anything with his life. I mean, he lived and died in Calcutta just playing fantastic music and earned nothing.
Yeah, yeah,
If he could have marketed himself, that guy could have gone anywhere. So,
yeah,
like I said, there are a lot of musicians, you're absolutely right. They
yeah,
don't know how to market themselves, they
yeah,
only know how to play good music. So,
yeah,
if that is something which can be inculcated in them by teachers and institutions, that'd be a fantastic,
yeah.
bring them up.
Yeah, because we've seen this, working with musicians, I see a lot of artists struggle with this bit. Also managing finance, it's not something which they enjoy doing probably. Most artists, because they're creative, they enjoy doing the most creative parts. But those other things are as important for their career, right? So I think maybe later on we can discuss and see if we can put
Yeah,
together something that could be an idea to help the scene, I think. Uh, Okay, so what about going forward? Let's talk about like currently we've understood what the scenario is. What are the future plans for both of you? Like, what are currently your plans, and what do you think is the future for the music scene?
See, in
Tony?
my opinion, from my point of view,
Yeah,
definitely having a music store which is a touch and feel experience for the customer is still very important. Although we have a lot of competition from some of the big online players, as
yeah,
everyone knows. Uh, in order to survive, we also need to have the online presence. So a lot of us have gone both online and offline and try and sell both ways in order to cater to customers who are far away, who cannot come to Calcutta, who cannot access our stores. So we've had to do that,
yeah.
and that has worked pretty well.
Hmm.
The second thing is availability of products. Making sure we have product with us. Um, I think some of us import, some of us have access, like Tony has from Futados. We do our own imports in a lot of products. So we have ready inventory to supply to customers the moment they have a requirement. That is also very important for the future. A customer is not willing to wait anymore. There was a time where we would take orders for products and they would wait a month or 2 months
Hmm.
for the product to come. That has now faded into insignificance. So I think
Hmm.
having good inventory, having availability through a store and also through an online presence is the way forward.
Right. And do you have a store, online store,
Yes, I have
up
an
and
online store too. Yes.
what is the what is it
I
called?
reynoldsmusic.co.in.
Reynolds Music dot.
Reynoldsmusic.co.in. Yes.
Okay, sure. I'll add that to
We
the
sell on,
chat.
we sell on Flipkart and Amazon too.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, but having your own store, I think going forward is a great idea. I mean, having that, like you were saying, both a physical and an online presence.
Yeah.
Tony, what about
yeah.
your business?
See, in my case, whenever we sold any instruments, I was never looking for bulk because I felt goes to the shop, they fit a bond into his hands, which will work only for him. So whenever a customer walks in the shop, that is when I was actually handling the shop all the time. I mean, hours a day in the shop. I would first try to figure out what exactly the kid wanted, not what the parent wanted, who's going to pay for the this thing. So then I would talk to the child and then try to understand whether what is the genre of music to do and so on and so forth. And then I would suggest to them what whether he should go in for a violin or if he's going for a guitar, what kind of guitar he should go in for, what was his upgrade path, what is the kind of genre of music which he wants to do, all that, and get a fitment of the instrument. Now, the biggest advantage I was saying is earlier we didn't have that many instruments to push whatever we had in this back store, which was lying collecting dust, and push that. But that system is gone.
Right.
So I want to make our shop into an educational thing where we can fit in for whatever they want. And it's unbelievable, but for the up and coming people, you give them economical stuff, but really good stuff so that they can afford it. But there is people who are, now who are MDs and so on and so forth. They have affordability now and for picking up instruments where we can push Taylor guitars and high-end acoustic guitars and all, and quite willing to buy the money they don't know. So the way forward is I can never ever think of actual shops not being there because it's a touch and feel thing. Somebody should come and try out the guitar and then go and buy it. And earlier we used to lose a lot of orders. I would come pick out everything in the shop and then go and online and see what is available at what price and then go and buy it. But even people like Amazon and very big online, they also finally maybe for the partners they would at prices just to grab the market and hold retail out of. But those days are gone because now I see that they are all giving very good price with the retails. So people are able to come back to our stores where we are giving them reasonable prices with good discounts and they are able to buy it. So the reason I went online, there are a lot of people who cannot come to the store in this lockdown period. So they can now just buy online. And
Right.
when I did the first thing which dawned on me was that there were people in the, in Rampur and Orissa and all this who are coming all the way to Calcutta to buy an instrument. They can also just, if they are not able to come, they are able to buy it and we can deliver it because the delivery processes are very good.
Yeah. Now the system
And
for deliveries become good.
in 1 month, we have dispatched several guitars and what have you. Not a single damage, not a this thing complaint that I get that this was not thing, and we make it a point to really make sure that the instrument is perfect before we dispatch it.
Right. Right.
Like people come to say, please open the box in front of me. That advantage the online person doesn't get because I'm opening it, checking out the instrument, tuning it,
Yeah. Yeah.
setting it up, only then repacking it into that thing and then sending it off.
So what is your website called where people can
BraganzaMusicals.com.
BraganzaMusicals.com. Okay, sure. I will add both the links for people to check out. I agree with both of you. I think having that hybrid situation where there is a physical store and an online presence is the way forward. And also to speak about the Amazons of the world. I feel going forward there will be a very high demand. I mean, there will be, because I think Amazon will always be there as a monster of a company doing everything because they want to sell everything. But I think a specialized store or a specialized brand will is I mean, even though right now at this point we are struggling, I think it will start having more value in the future, because people, even if it's online, they want to know who they're buying it from, so they can at least go back to you and say, hey, I bought this online from you, can at least I know the person. With Amazon and all, I don't know who the where it's coming from, what is the process. I mean, that feel is gone, right? Plus, I think having that, like what Tony was saying, having that personalized approach, like on Amazon, it is just like, okay, I know exactly what I want and I'll go and buy. But I think between the two of you, the thing that will be different is you can come, even if it's online. One is, if say you are in Orissa, you see all the products online, you could have a chat thing where you could speak to someone on a personal level. Or there is an option ki if that person is really interested, he's gone through the catalog online, and then you can say, why don't you come to our store, to actually see the product. So that, I think, is the big difference, and I think going forward, this advantage is what
It
will.
works both ways. They
Yeah,
can come to the store and then buy it online
that
because they may
also.
not have the delivery in the thing, or they may not be ready with the money, but they already
Exactly.
bought the product. Then after
Yeah,
2 months or something, they go back and then they order it online and it's
yeah,
delivered to their doorstep.
yeah.
They get the confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, I also feel instrument buying is such a thing. No, like just before we started, we were saying like it becomes like it's like a mission. Is to go to the
Yeah.
store, have a little chat with the person there, see all the instrument, then you talk a little other things outside of the instrument. So I think that the online store will always miss. So having both definitely has a
Yeah.
great advantage.
See, and or at least our online store, which is there, it has a chat option.
Yeah,
So, of course, for me, sometimes I tear out my hair because you get somebody chatting all of a sudden, asking you what time you open, what time you close,
yeah,
which is the direction to your thing, which is
yeah.
not the idea. No?
Yeah, yeah,
So, but you have to keep them happy. So, you just tell them, "Tuck, tuck, here's a map. You can come over here, not a
yeah,
problem." But, that chat thing is really good because I've
yeah,
seen people discussing the stuff and getting to learn what they are buying actually. And this thing, so that thing of not understanding what he's buying doesn't exist anymore.
yeah.
That's,
I agree. I agree. I totally agree. I have this one photo which Tony sent me, which I want to share and see, because I don't know what this photo is. So I would like to know what is the story behind this. Uh,
yeah, this was the big band I was talking about,
mm.
but this was basically for gigs. The person in the center,
Mm.
my dad,
Oh,
phone and clarinet.
wow.
And the other musicians were all very well known to me. But these were the kind of bands that they used to have, which they used to play in. And I
Mm.
really don't know when they slept because they were in the shop during the day. And then from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock at night, they would play, like, say, in this thing. And then from 12 to 3, they would go and jam.
Wow.
They had a place called Golden Slipper. It was today we call it a sleaze joint, but it was a really fantastic nightclub.
Oh, wow.
And there were musicians from all over Calcutta would come over there outside to nice hands and
Mm.
have a kati roll uh, and have their drinks, dance through till 3 in the morning, and then they used to come back
Yeah.
home.
Wow. And where is this exactly? This particular photo?
This
Like, where
was
is this? Which is the place?
a shop taken at a wedding actually, which they were playing
Oh,
for
it's okay, okay,
in
okay.
some nightclub. I don't know, in some hall.
Okay.
You
Really
have
great.
that rail club kind of a thing. So
Mm.
this was, yes.
Awesome. Well, this was really, it really struck me. This picture, I wanted to know more about it. So yeah, I mean, I think you know, like this conversation was about understanding how, and I think so many things. I really feel that there is an overlap, even for us when we're doing planning gigs in the future. I personally feel we should have the hybrid model, wherein we will obviously go back to live music at venues with people around, with real instruments, all of that, but we should also not forget about the online world, because it is important. It's where you can have extra eyeballs. You can get, if in a room you can have 100 people, now you have an option to reach out to another set of maybe 200 people who are in different parts of the world. So even with gigs, that's what we are planning to do. That from wherever we are, say if we're doing it at Topcat or a Skinny Mo's Jazz Club, or if we're doing a gig, small gig from your store, people have come to watch
Yeah.
it. But we can always put a camera and also stream it to people who are not there. So can have a double kind of a situation. So this is, I feel, hybrid is what we should be heading towards. Given the situation. I mean, we
And
should have done. Uh, Please.
Nishit, I think shops like Peter and ours, we should integrate more with people like you who are putting up shows and putting up this thing. Of course, Peter has his own inbuilt entertainment centers. Where,
Yeah,
we can even do stuff like, today we are going to play with all instruments from Braganzas.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Of those artists, because they're all known to us.
yeah, yeah,
They
yeah,
can pick up whatever guitar, the thing they want, or even including the drum set or whatever.
yeah,
And we can showcase them and say it's a Braganza night. You
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. It'll be great. It'll be
And
great.
people will say, later for me, it is the instruments you see them playing is the instruments you buy from us.
Yeah, yeah. Totally, totally, totally.
But it's a long-term dream.
Yeah. No, no.
We'll have
Let's definitely plan some things where we collaborate, and I think that is also such an important bit. And one of the ideas, one of the thoughts behind doing this was to bring people together on the screen and have these conversations and see, because we are all doing our things individually. Like I'm doing my thing, Peter's doing his thing, Tony is doing his thing, but I think the collaborating effect to uplift the music scene will benefit all of us, who are in the game. So I am definitely up for ideas like that. So we can definitely talk about that, and we'll see if people suggest some more ideas. Then we can, after, because this people watch this show after we shared it on our YouTube and all that. So if we get some ideas, we can bounce it
You
off
could
both
plan
of you.
some promotions revolving around instruments, as Tony was saying. You could
Yeah,
get bands to play. You can have competitions.
yeah,
Just generally create interest in people who play music, and
absolutely.
we can help promote through either donating a guitar or accessories like strings and plectrums and stuff
Yeah,
like that, just to get the interest into the whole thing. So we
absolutely.
don't. I don't mind helping you with promoting music. So anything you think of, you run it past me. I'm fine. Not an issue.
Done, done. I'll do that for sure. I always love to be around music and plan something. Been doing that only with this free time. Your brain also starts working too much. So I've been sitting and making plans of what we'll do.
One
Huh?
important initiative.
Yeah.
Uh, Tony and myself, rather Briganzas and Reynolds, we are in this business as a passion-driven thing. We are not in the business of making money, to tell you the truth. That's
Hmm.
important,
Yeah.
but it's essentially a passion-driven, family-oriented. It's part of our culture. That is what we are doing. There are a lot of people in Calcutta today who are doing the business purely for the sake of making money. And that's something we don't do. And that is why we will always be there. We were there yesterday, we were there today, and we'll always be there. That's very important for people to understand when they come to either Briganza or Reynolds. We are different.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm totally sure. I'm absolutely. agree with you on that. And it shows also, right? I mean, when you go to any of your shops, my first few instruments have been between the two shops. Go to Reynolds, check out again. Go to Braganza, check out, and you know that has been for us all throughout our lives. Like, so I agree. I mean, especially if you're doing something like music, it has to have some passion. It cannot be a straight business thing. You know?
Correct.
So yeah, I think we are almost at the end of our session. If you all have any last thoughts, if you want to share, if you want to say something, or add to the conversation, any of you, both of you.
See, basically, when my father and uncle started Briganzas, I mean, that may not have been their thoughts, but the way they ran it, as Peter said, it was a passion, and that passion to people, because people should understand that music is not something you're a lawyer or an engineer and all that, or whatever, chartered accountant. It's a real stress buster. And even if you're not going to make it a profession, it's very important that the older generation is able to imbibe in the younger generation. And from the shop's point of view and from the people in the musical education's point of view, what I really feel we should also set up listener forums, especially through channels like Nishit. If we can have listener forums where you have pundits coming down, say, Amit Datta coming, demonstrating and explaining to people what blues is all about, and have a basis, or maybe at least a monthly basis, where you will understand what music is all about. You can have people like, luthiers like myself, who can come and explain what of a guitar. Maybe we can have a showcase where I can take them around my workshops, do a small little film, and then do it. But we need people like you to coordinate this,
Yes,
because you
yes,
all
yes.
have this thing. And if people listen to what I call good music, rather than anything which is trashy and just on the TV, and they get educated also into what they are listening to, it
Yeah,
becomes a very
I agree.
automatically they take up for it. Even if they don't pick up an instrument, their listening skills are really fantastic.
I totally agree. I totally agree. I have taken that note, and I will definitely get back to you on doing some things. And that was the idea also, to come up with some ideas so that we can do some interesting things together. Peter, do you have any last thoughts that you want to share? Something which we haven't spoken about?
So exactly that. Let's take it forward. Let's do something together. Any kind of promotions relevant to music, I'm interested.
Sure. Great. Perfect. So on that note, I think we'll leave it at that. We are looking at doing some interesting things together, uh, and we are hoping this pandemic is gone soon, so we can get back to music like how we want to experience with the people, with the instruments, with the musicians in the room. Uh, yeah, and if anyone wants to share any ideas, thoughts regarding what we spoke about today, please share on the comments, or you can reach out to us, or at or the Reynolds page or Braganza's page if you have anything interesting that you want to share. We do this every Sunday, so please join us. It's called In the Mix, brought to you by Jamsteady and Topcat CCU. That's it for today. Thank you so much, both of you, for taking out time on a Sunday for doing this. Uh, and yeah, I'll be in touch with both of you. And yeah, let's do more
Thank you.
music.
Okay.
Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Have a
Bye.
good day.
Yeah, have a great day. Bye.
Bye.